Hello guys and welcome. I am your expert on Chinese social media marketing, and today I'm going to tell you how you can make millions of RMB vlogging to a Chinese audience. I have already made over 600 vlogs and accumulated over 3 million fans on platforms such as Bilibili, Weibo, Toutiao, YouTube, and dozens of other platforms. A few years ago, I came up with this method on how to improve my vlogs and how to make them more efficient, to spend less time on them and get more views. This is the first time I'm going to publicly share these tips, and the last people that I shared these tips with now do have millions of followers on Chinese social media, so I hope that this can work for you too. Tip 1, and probably the most important tip, is a vlog is not a video diary. A lot of people mistake the word vlog for video blog. And of course that is what it means, but a good vlog is not a blog. It's a story. It's one story and one story only. This is the biggest mistake that people make when vlogging. They literally film every minute of their day.
Never an obligation to share with you the intimacies of every day of my life. This isn't a journal, but instead, could I find every day in my life a 3-act narrative to share?
A good vlogger will know what their audience wants to watch and build a story around that element in your day. It's not your whole day, it's one element of the day. Let me give you an example to show you what this means. For example, if you know you're going to go shopping tomorrow, maybe you can plan your video around the shop, okay? If you are aiming at a Chinese audience, I would suggest bringing in some Chinese qualities to the video. For example, you go to the Chinese supermarket in your local town and you try your newly learned Chinese on the cashier, or you try and buy and taste some of the food in the Chinese supermarket. In this case, you already know what your video is going to be about, and you don't have to film every single minute of the day. You know what the beginning is, the middle is, and the end is of your story. So if you already have a rough plan on what you're going to do, then your audience isn't going to get bored, and you aren't going to waste your time filming absolutely everything. Tip number 2, vlogs do not have to be in chronological order. If you are filming something during the day and something unexpected yet interesting happens, you can actually film the beginning of the vlog after that happens so that it makes sense. Now, you're not filming in chronological order, but when you go to the edit, you can put that in the beginning and it makes sense, and then you have a complete story, not one that just starts in the middle of the story. This takes us to tip 3. Keep the story simple and move along quickly. And so what I mean by that, for example, if you start doing a street interview and then change to another subject, your story is already getting a little bit too complicated. I would recommend sticking to one story. Keep it simple, but keep it fast. So for example, on Bilibili and Watermelon, your audience is going to be looking for the point of the video, the reason to keep watching, to keep the retention on your audience. You need to tell them this as soon as possible. You need to say, hey guys, today I really want to find out the recipe to something. I really want it, and this doesn't have to be super interesting, because at the end of the day, it is a vlog, and there isn't, maybe for a lot of people, there isn't that many interesting things to do. That's not important. The important thing is the audience needs to know the anticipation. What are they expecting? They need anticipation, suspense, in order to keep watching the video. In the introduction, you have a problem, you have a need. In the middle, you try and solve it, you try and fix the problem. And in the conclusion, you either fix it or you don't, and then you invoke interaction with your viewers. That's the basic gist of a story in a vlog. So here's a good example that I filmed in the past. I wanted to know whether traditionally attractive Chinese people in Chinese people's eyes are also attractive to people from my country. And so in the first 30 seconds, I made this quite clear that this was my plan. And then I printed out the pictures, and then I found some of my family members and showed them and asked them. This video actually was super popular. It got over 1 million views. And the concept is not that difficult. It's just a problem, and then the process of trying to solve it, and then a conclusion. Another example, you want to see how many things in your house are made in China. That's the problem. In the beginning, you say, okay, this is the problem. This is what I want to solve. This is the need. In the middle, you try and solve it by looking around your house. You find the objects. You say, oh, this isn't made in China. This is made in China. The conclusion is you say the percentage of the products that are made in China. And then you interact with your followers. What do you think about it? It's quite a simple process. And if you can include anything to do with your audience, then obviously that's going to be a bonus. They're going to find it more informational, more entertaining. Number 4 is be yourself, but maybe a slightly more exaggerated version of yourself. Now, what I mean by that is try and invoke some excitement, some interaction with your viewers, but don't go too over the top where you're acting like Jake Paul. Now, I mention this because in the past, I started off being quite true to myself and my personality, and then halfway through, maybe 2 years into vlogging, I kind of went a little bit too far because I wanted to get my audience excited. But whilst I was doing that, I kind of lost the genuine feeling around my channel. And this is very important to a vlogger. You need to come across as genuine. And you can only come across as genuine when you are being yourself. And on that note, I want to be very genuine with you right now. If you can go down below and give me a like and a subscribe, maybe a comment, try and get this video on the algorithm of YouTube, I would very much appreciate it. There you go, see? If I'm very genuine, you know, more likely to get interaction. And also, this is another point, there's nothing wrong with asking for interaction. Let's get into that. Tip number 5 is invoke interaction. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking your viewers, what do you think? Leave a comment down below. If you like this video, subscribe, give me a like. I would appreciate it very much. And if you want to join my fan group down below, click the link and I'll see you in the group. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that's going to give you more views because the algorithm on the platform looks at this data. Okay, how many people are commenting? How many people are liking? What's the percentage? And the higher that percentage, the better the algorithm thinks your video is. And the better your video probably is because you are keeping their viewers on the platform. And that's the main goal of a platform, is to keep their audience happy. And you're doing that. So invoke interaction. Tip number 6, and by the way, in Chinese, this is number 6. You learned something. Number 6 is think about the clickability of your video title and your thumbnail, even before you make the video. This is a tip that I don't usually share with people. So when I used to make videos a lot, I used to update daily. I used to think of what's the title of my video going to be? What are people going to click on? Even before I thought of what I was going to film. It's a very good tip because, especially on platforms like Watermelon, Bilibili, YouTube, people are looking at your titles and thumbnails before they know what the content of the video is. So in essence, that means the title is more important than the actual video itself. Now, obviously, when they click in, you have to give them what they expect or they're going to give you a thumbs down. But the title is what people come in for. Now, I like to put it in a way that's easier to understand. Imagine you are in a park and there are hundreds of people stood on stools shouting, okay? Now, this is the front page of a video website. And the shouting is the title. Now imagine, what are you going to hear over anything else? And this is a great way to know whether your title will work or not. If someone's shouting, you know, Chinese food trying in the UK, maybe you'd think like, that's okay. But if someone said, I spent 1,000 RMB on Chinese snacks and this is what I bought. Okay, now I would be a little bit more interested in that. And I'll get into that in another video. There are some kind of tricks with titles and thumbnails for more clicks. But in essence, if you imagine it as listening to people shouting, then you're going to probably find more suitable and more attractive titles for your video. Now, once you have the title, you can then plan your content around it. Now, your content doesn't have to be 100% true to your title, but it should be at least a little bit, because if the title and the content is completely unrelated, then you're basically just clickbaiting in the worst way, and that's going to get bad reactions from your fans and they might unsubscribe. So I wouldn't actually advise you to do that, but if you can think of the title and then think of the content, you can kind of, you know, make the content around your title rather than the other way around, where you're not sure whether people will click in. So that's a great tip. I would remember that one. Tip number 7 is involve people and do things. It sounds easy, but You'd be surprised the amount of people that don't listen to this. Some people, they get their camera out, they sit down on a sofa and just talk, kind of like me, but I'm going to use a lot of B-roll in this video, and it's kind of an informational video, so it's not that important. But a lot of people, they film a vlog and they're sat down on their sofa and they're just kind of, you know, filming themselves for 5 minutes. People are going to click off. Okay? People want to see interaction. They want to see some kind of community, and they want you to do things. Action is always more watchable than narration. So for example, if you talk about how much you love cooking, it's going to be 150% better if you actually go and cook something. You go buy the ingredients. I'm going to cook the best Chinese meal you've ever seen. I'm going to buy the ingredients. I'm going to cook it. And I'm gonna do it in the traditional Chinese way, but kind of mix some Western styles in there. People are gonna watch that. But if you're just talking about it, people are gonna click off. The actual image of your video is not aesthetic. People aren't going to enjoy it. The same with interacting with people. People love watching people interact. If you can get some friends in your video, if you can do some street interviews, if you can just, you know, get your camera up and go, hey, this is my friend. And you introduce your friend, it kind of feels like the camera is your fan and they're stood there getting involved in the conversation. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to feel like they're part of your community, and they're going to feel like they're your friend. And if you do this for a while, like I have, it feels kind of weird when people walk up to you on the street and they act like they've known you for years, but in fact you've never met. And that's because they're watching videos like this, and they are the camera, and they know you. And so that's kind of the feeling that they want to get from videos. They want to get a kind of escapism from their life, and they're part of someone else's life. So involve people and do things. Tip number 8, and this is number 8 in China. If you can use that in your video, people will enjoy it. And it's relevant to this tip. Do things, or make your video about things that Chinese people can relate to. Obviously, this is for if you're making videos for the Chinese market. It's kind of the same thing for any audience that you're making videos for. If they can relate to it, then they're much likely to enjoy it. Let me give you an example. There are a bunch of huge YouTubers that cannot break the Chinese market because their videos are unrelated. They're unrelated. They're all in English. The video content is about, you know, American things or Western things that Chinese people just don't care about. So if you include some Chinese language, or you're learning some Chinese, you use it during the day. If you do anything to do with Chinese culture, you compare the two different cultures. It doesn't have to be in their country. It doesn't even have to be in their language. But it needs to be something that they will find interesting. And that's the core of this tip. It's kind of like if I was talking Chinese to you and I was just talking about my favorite Chinese singer, Zhou Jielun, you probably wouldn't find it interesting. But if I compared Zhou Jielun to someone like Justin Timberlake, then you'd be like, oh, okay, I kind of get that, right? I can kind of correlate, I have some context. That's what you need to do. Tip number 9 is respond to requests and your fans. So you're going to start getting some comments under your video where your fans are going to ask you, something about your country maybe, or just something about your video. And I would suggest actually making a video responding to your fans and interacting, because that's when you are starting to build a community. It's almost like a family, and you are listening, and your fans do love it when it seems like, when you are listening to them. And the other good thing about doing this is it invokes more interaction, which gives your video more views because the algorithm thinks it's good. So if they think you're looking at their comments, then they're more likely to comment. And so if you end your video saying, oh, guys, what do you think about the video? Do you like it? Leave me a comment down below. Or you leave them a question like, what do you think about something, something? And then they have a discussion down below. Then it's good for your video. Tip number 10 is to join the CSMM, Chinese Social Media Marketing Group, down below, where I will keep you updated with the latest news, tips, tricks, and give you more resources to get your videos up and running, to get your followers just going crazy, okay, and enjoying your videos. So add me on LinkedIn, add me on WeChat, down in the description below, and I'll add you to the group, and then we can have discussions. You can do collaborations, and remember to give me a like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.